And it says we're live. So, greetings, YouTube. We are going to be recording episode, I believe, 11 of the Reasonable Person podcast. And as you can see right now, there is a new person in, Tom Knighton from Bearing Arms, longtime guest on the old show, and a frequent guest on the old show, first time joining us on the new one. Kat is not here tonight, so we got to do this instead.
I like balls, though, so.
Okay, then. What more do you need than that?
Yeah, well, and that's going to be joining us throughout the night whenever appropriate.
Or inappropriate, as the case may be.
Yes, exactly. We'll be inviting her ever so briefly into the broadcast, but this is going to be an absolutely fly by the seat of the pants thing tonight. I like to do, when I do a show, to do several hours of preparation and set it up several days in advance. None of that has happened today. The only thing we've got is topics, and that's going to be the Somali thing in Minnesota and the world's fastest. I used to call the invasion of Iran the world's fastest invasion, or the world's largest track meet, where we went from Kuwait to Baghdad in record time. Dude, that's got nothing on what's happened in the last 24 hours. Those are the two topics we've got. As always, we invite you to get your comments in. Comment on either the Facebook, and Brian, I'm going to have you watch Facebook.
Okay, I think I'm watching it, yeah.
You comment on either the Facebook video or the YouTube video if the comments are relevant, and especially if they're funny, we'll get them in. If if they're wildly inappropriate, we still may get them in. If they're just garbage, we probably won't. But
you might censor ever so slightly so that we don't get restricted by YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
Although if we do, that will probably be my fault.
And George is already coming in, commenting on YouTube, saying good evening, George. Hope you got your seatbelt on tonight. It could be a wild one with Tom joining us. So, guys, I think we're ready to actually start recording.
Hey.
So, I'm going to go ahead and push the magic button in 5, 4, 3. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Reasonable Person podcast. My name is Paul Lathrop. I'm one of your regular co-hosts. Joining me tonight, Brian De Almeida, another one of your regular co-hosts, and some dude, Tom Knighton from Bearing Arms. He's also got his own show, The Fourth Rail, here on YouTube. I strongly recommend you check that out. Guys, we last recorded just, let me adjust my microphone here. We last recorded just before.
I think you adjusted it up to it doesn't work.
Yeah, we lost your microphone there. Still
nothing.
And this is why you don't make adjustments after you hit the button to go live.
Yeah. When I first logged in, he was having the same problem with his microphone.
Uh-oh.
And then now he bumped it, and it...
Yeah, never bump your microphone when you just gone live. Wait for the adjustments, until after you're done. As long as you're peaking the meter, you're good. Anyway, if I kind of go off camera a little bit, it's because I'm leaning towards my microphone trying to talk into it. So And let me adjust a little bit. Maybe I can. There we go. Now I can talk into the microphone, still kind of be on camera. All right. Guys, last time we recorded, it was just before Christmas. It's now just after New Year's. Two things have kind of happened that have been really consuming my social media feed. The first is this Somali daycare center, or the Leering Center, as the wild videos are showing. The other is last night, we had something happen in Central America. It's still kind of fuzzy, though. Basically, the world's fastest invasion. Tom, you're the guest. I'm gonna crank it off with you. This Somali thing in Minnesota, that kind of broke about 4 or 5 days ago, maybe a week. Reason I asked you on, man, I got to get your take on this. I love your sense of humor. What's been your impression of this thing so far?
Well, first I got to say that I've never needed a center to learn how to leer. There's kind of always been pretty good at it, but I'm a natural. Maybe, no, seriously, it's like, wow, Somalis are running a daycare scam. It's almost like a country known for warlords and pirates may not produce the most trustworthy people. I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
And the memes from that are just absolute gold.
Oh, they are. Like the sad Somali pirates are like, I could have just opened a daycare in Minnesota. You're less likely to get shot by Navy SEALs.
Yes.
Although, to be fair, this is not limited to to the Somali community in Minnesota. We have in the last 5 days seen similar things are coming up with adult care. Generally for old people. It has been reported on and shown in Ohio, in Illinois, in Oregon, in Washington, California. It is happening in all 50 states. This is just the example, and it's particularly egregious because we're dealing with a group of people coming from an extraordinarily low trust culture for whom fraud is not a thing. There is what is good for me and for my family, because they're family or tribal level trust society, and you do whatever advances your family, and what happens to anybody else is irrelevant. If people were dumb enough to make it possible for you to defraud them, then you're just doing what you should be and taking care of your family, and they should have been smarter.
Fair. That's actually pretty accurate, when you especially from the 1990s. Most of these guys don't remember a time when Somalia had a government to speak of.
That's true. And actually, I'm going to plug a book for one of the best little bits on how low trust and high trust societies function and end up interacting. You're going to go to The Last Centurion by John Ringo. Now,
yes, excellent.
There's some wacky stuff in there, but there are a couple of essays that are included in this fictional book that are 100% worth it on there. One of them being on low and high trust societies, another being on farmers and how farmers plan, and another on emergency management. There's a couple of others. The book is fantastic, but John Ringo, The Last Centurion, you want a good example of that explains how low and high trust societies function when they intersect. There you go.
Yeah.
I gotta say, man, I had my finger poised over the click on the button that took us offline because I thought you were gonna go with a gay novella. But
no. Just because I was featured in one written by a friend does not mean that I'm going to go publicizing that anywhere.
I had to give you a hard time about that, man. I could not wait to do it.
You know what? It's deserved. I make jokes about it. Thanks, Courtney. I love you.
We love you, Courtney. No, it's Last Centurion. For the record, I last read it during 2020, and considering
Oh yeah,
or part of that is a pandemic,
except one that was actually really deadly.
Yeah, yeah. It was as deadly as we were. One of the book was as deadly as we were told COVID was.
Yep.
So it was not comfortable reading at the time, but it wasn't my first reading either. But fantastic book, absolutely. I second that recommendation because it's amazing. But yeah, I saw something on X earlier where like some woman was listed as a point of contact for 52 daycares. This is a white woman, so not racial. 52 daycares. I don't want to deal with 52 children.
I don't want to deal with 5.2 children.
My 6 are plenty. Some days
your 6 are far too many for me.
Some days they're far too many for me too.
That's fair. But yeah, it's like you can't look at this and tell me that there's not fraud going on, especially after everything Doge found with U.S. aid.
And that didn't include the stuff we're currently talking about. Doge never found
Not at all.
No, it didn't. And it was covered under a program that actually a lot of people are going to be fine with. We're going to, provide childcare for these particular people. And, Doge couldn't have looked into these daycares and seen literally nobody there. That was beyond their capability at the time. So that just tells you there's so much of this going on. And we're not allowed to say questions.
If there's that's beyond what I ever want their capability or any government capability to be.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. But it's kind of insane that we're finding this fraud and so many people are completely losing their mind over the fact they're looking at fraud.
That's the thing.
This should be nonpartisan.
It should be. But instead, this again, and you don't hate the mainstream media enough. Rather than going on and actually looking and going, oh, holy hell, how many billions of dollars a year are the taxpayers being defrauded of? They are smearing the people who broke it. They are burying it as much as possible. They are justifying it. They are protecting it. And we're seeing the same thing from a whole bunch of lawmakers. They're all going after the people talking about it. They are not going after what's actually happened.
My favorite report, and I'm not entirely sure, I don't remember exactly who it was from, but they called a bunch of these daycares, didn't get answers at most of them, and then one did answer, and they're like, oh yeah, and they said they were legit. Well, there you go. Well, that answers everything. Because nobody ever lies about whether they're committing fraud.
And one of them had somebody had broken in and stolen their records to prove they're not a fraud just before they were supposed to present them.
While the police report said nothing was taken.
Yeah. And the photos that I've seen that are supposed to be from that are pretty obvious. It was done from inside the building, not from the exterior like they tried to make it.
Oh yeah. It's it's like the only way it could have been more of a obvious inside job is if they put a noose around their neck and wrote, "This is MAGA country" on the wall.
Okay. I saw a thing a little while ago. It was kind of explaining how how these scams work. So let's take a hypothetical here. The three of us, we each either have or claim to have 4 children. There is free money available to pay for childcare. Because daycare is really expensive for our 4 kids. For these 12 kids because we're all poor. There is also money available to facilities to help further help further defray the costs involved, so that less is being charged to the parents. So, my job is I run an in-home daycare for Tom's 4 kids. Paul reports his job as running an in-home daycare for my 4 kids, while Tom is running an in-home daycare for Paul's 4 kids. We're now all receiving the money to subsidize paying for daycare. We're also receiving the money for running a daycare. And between the 3 of us, it works out to taking in $18,000 to $24,000 per month in free government money.
Yeah.
That's essentially exactly what's going on. Yes.
And yeah, and it's insane because I don't make that much. Working my ass off, I don't make that much. Most people don't make that kind of money. And for a business, that kind of money's not really all that much, because if you've got employees and you're having to cover taxes and, employment taxes and all that other stuff, that kind of eats away at it. But if we're doing this, log rolling thing, we're not having to do any of that.
Exactly.
That's all goes in our pockets.
I did something incredibly dangerous. I opened up X just now.
Oh, Lord.
Brian, you said you do not hate the mainstream media enough, and I'm going to take us on a left-hand turn here. I have up X, and CBS Evening News put up on X when this new CBS Evening News kicks off on Monday. We promise to live by these 5 simple principles from our very first show on the road to our first broadcast on the new set in New York, and everyone after that. Number 1, we work for you. Okay. I got to try to get through this without really losing my supper. Number 2, we report on the world as it is. We'll be honest and direct with you. That means no weasel words or padded landings. We'll tell you what we know, when we know it. We'll update all of our reporting when we uncover new facts, and we'll admit it when we get it wrong. Baloney! I'm sorry, was that external? We respect you. We believe that our fellow Americans are smart and discerning. Baloney again. I'm going to skip the rest of that one. We love America. No, you. Yeah. And then number 5, we respect tradition, but we also believe in the future. Guys, CBS has been the worst of the worst. Do we give them even a 10th of a shot?
Tom has covered this on his blog over the last couple of months, but there was recently a change of ownership and of management at CBS.
Right. Barry Weiss is now calling the shots at CBS News. And she has been very much, a kind of a warrior from the left on the idea that the media should try to be as unbiased as humanly possible. When the whole 60 Minutes fiasco, where their reporter outright lied about whether or not the administration would comment on, deportations to a particular prison or whatever. It's, she said that didn't happen, or they didn't comment. Turned out they had. Barry had originally tried to spike the story because it didn't, meet journalistic standards. It didn't advance the ball, and she got all kinds of flack for that. She's trying to actually do a better job. Now, she's got bias. Oh, yeah. She tries to keep it in. She legitimately tries to keep it in check, like she has at her Substack, the Free Press. But so I think that when you see that, that's Barry talking. Whether or not anyone down chain is going to listen is the big question.
Yes. So
because they don't like it.
Yeah. In the case of CBS, I'm currently willing to give them some grace and see how Ari actually manages to pull this off, in hope, in hopes that that we actually see some return to journalistic standards and some integrity there. But
it's clear that's what she is. She is giving it a solid effort.
Yeah, that's what she's trying to do. I genuinely hope she succeeds. But for the rest of our mainstream media, for CNN, NBC, ABC, no, you don't hate them enough. And any of them saying this, my reaction matches Paul's. I would laugh them I would laugh them right out of the building. Because we know it's a load of crap.
I had someone try to tell me they actually did hate them enough. And I'm like, no, you can't, because that would lead to spontaneous human combustion.
That's accurate.
You would burst into flames before you hit that point. And that it's all deserved.
Well, and
every bit of it is deserved.
Number one on my litmus test is what they cover. They can be fair and balanced, but if they don't cover the important stories and they cover stuff that may damage the right, but not stuff that may damage the left, they're still left.
Yep, lies of omission still count.
Yeah, and that's always been the primary way that media bias happened, was in which stories to cover. For example, the greatest example ever was NPR's response to the Hunter Biden laptop story. Oh, this isn't news. Are you freaking kidding me? And, they did this whole thing. And then after Biden gets in office, we found out, oh, yeah, this is all legit.
It's real.
It was the contents were used in the prosecution of Hunter Biden.
Well, and I mean, the cocaine found in the White House was news for all of 6-7 minutes.
In fairness, though, Paul, that's hardly the worst thing we've ever found in the White House.
Yeah, there is that.
I mean, we've got Bill Clinton, you've got Johnson. I mean, heck, under Johnson, the White House press room had Johnson's Johnson whipped out as a response to questions from reporters.
It's like, really, the cocaine thing was hardly the worst thing in the world. I'm like, I would actually trust the Biden administration more if they were doing more cocaine.
Joe might have been coherent.
That he did have that one speech where he was like really kind of on something. They were talking about the drugs. That's what the cocaine was for.
Okay.
That explains everything. Explains it. We figured it out. We solved the mystery, people.
Yeah. So let's I want to try to keep, some semblance of being on rails somewhere. Last night I didn't hear about this until this morning. Apparently, we invaded Venezuela last night, and we got Maduro, and he's in the United States now.
But now he's an illegal, and so ICE is going to kidnap him and send him back. Then we're going to go back in to take him. It's just going to be this nice little circle.
Round and round we go. No,
look, all I got to say is the Night Stalkers had the opportunity to do the funniest thing ever, and only let Maduro get half a helicopter ride.
Oh, like
Augusto Pinochet.
Yes.
Chile doesn't do that anymore. Chile's all kinds of upset over this.
Yeah, well, they can get over it.
Or not.
Venezuelans are loving it.
Venezuelans,
they're dancing in the friggin' street.
Happy about it. Now, I have a theory. That's been that's been going around here. This was not just Maduro was indicted in New York in 2020, and we decided that we're going to forcibly extradite him to the United States. I think this was a negotiated get out, because we know we know the Maduro regime was in trouble in Venezuela. They've been dealing with civil unrest for the last 5 years or so. We know that he's dealing with tons of pressure from Russia and China to continue helping Russia evade sanctions over the Ukraine war, which those negotiations just went away again. And so perhaps the negotiation was, we take you, you get remanded to criminal prosecution, you'll end up spending a few years in a club fed, and then we'll find some nice place, like Noriega ended up in France with access to all of his offshore accounts. We move in, we move in the people who actually won their election in 2024, one of whom won the Nobel Peace Prize and allegedly has worked for CIA. And
so
we have now.
So did Obama. Obama won the damn Peace Prize. I don't give a damn about the Peace Prize.
I'm just identifying Maria Machado. The Nobel Peace Prize doesn't mean anything because they sullied it with the whole Obama thing. But so in displacing Maduro, replacing the head of state and the government of Venezuela, we've now eliminated the best source of sanction breaking oil for Russia. We moved to resolve a very unsteady situation within our hemisphere that has been cooperating with Russia and our actual primary adversary in the world, China. We move a whole bunch of pieces around, take care of a couple of problems, and further put the squeeze on Russia indirectly to get them back to the negotiating table to try and end what's going on in Ukraine, because their now best source of petroleum products is Iran, who has transport issues, to say the least, and is even more unstable than Venezuela was.
Yep.
And Maduro gets, one, not lynched by his own people. He doesn't take a JDAM up where the sun doesn't shine. He'll go spend some time in the very best accommodations that the federal prison system can provide, and eventually be able to have access to his offshore accounts, and he can just go do his thing. Given the option of your people may get to you and they're going to lynch you and your entire family, or we may decide that we're going to force regime change, which means you die. Or you can say, you know what, my wife and I will be here at this, in this location at this time with our things. Delta comes in, takes them out, and we continue on with the regime change.
Blow up a little bit of stuff here and there that we already know isn't occupied.
Yeah.
So that, it looks like a good, and it has that would have the added benefit of kind of also serving as a warning to other dictators in these little third world hellholes that, you can sit here and get ready for us. You can sit here and talk big. We can slip in the dark of night, walk into your president's bedroom and drag his ass out. Yep. Even if that's not what we did.
I think that's certainly the message, regardless of the reasoning or the exact how and why. That's certainly a message that is getting out.
Yeah. One other thing, that Venezuela, in the Western Hemisphere, Venezuela has the potential to be as rich, if not richer, with their oil reserves than we are. And they are dirt poor because of socialism.
Mm-hmm. In 1990, Venezuela, I think, was the 10th or 12th most prosperous nation on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Poland,
on top
was
of the oil reserves.
Yeah, because
of the oil reserves, they've got minerals like crazy. They've got gold reserves that are on par with Africa, like the entire continent. There is no excuse. except for socialism.
Yeah, because Venezuela went from one of the most prosperous countries on earth to one of the most impoverished countries on earth in 20 years. Meanwhile, in the same time period, Poland, once they were free from the USSR, went full hog on communism, and Poland has completely reversed their fortunes. They are now one of the most secure and prosperous nations in Europe.
Yep.
While Venezuela, the bread lines don't even exist anymore.
Yeah. It was
Now-
really not all that long ago they were eating zoo animals.
And Poland, I want to bring it. Poland has done what they got totally without. Let's face it, there's no tourism attractions in Poland, period. Unless
There are now.
Well, maybe if you like racing, there's a few really good racetracks and automotive things you can tour in Poland. But other than that, I can think of you like borscht and you like eating. I don't know.
Polish food's actually fantastic, but Poland also has a lot of historic stuff if you're into that. Of course, Polish it was the Polish winged hussars who ended the Ottoman expansion into Europe when they broke the siege of Vienna. I'm considering having my daughter tattoo a scene from that on me. I'm not decided yet, but Poland is the safest country in Europe right now. Why? Because they haven't been importing the developing world. In fact, they've been beating them back with fire hoses at their borders for the last 5 years, and the EU has really got a case of the hips with them over it.
And Poland's basically telling them to go, perform sexually improbable acts upon their own person.
Yes.
It's like Poland ain't gonna do it.
Though, so
Had to.
Perfect. 10 of 10, no notes. But yeah, Poland's like little European Texas in a lot of ways.
There's a couple of content creators that have taken to calling it East Texas. And I've got a couple people who are attributing the origination of that to me in somebody's comments about a year ago. I don't know that it's true. Nick insists that the origin point of that was me, and was picked up from there. I don't know, but yeah, I've been referring to Poland as Texas of the East for the last year and a half, 2 years, because they vibe.
Yeah, and it's like if America's got a weapon system for sale, they're like, how many can I take? How many can I have?
Please.
Yeah, they basically decided they're not going to be the welcome mat to Europe again.
I'm wondering myself, and this comes from my years and years and years now as a Second Amendment advocate. That's any European nation getting the Second Amendment or something substantially similar. Of course, they're not going to get the exact wording of ours, but something substantial to the Second Amendment is a game changer. The Texas of the East, well, where's their private ownership of firearms at?
Let's see. Just pulling up real quick.
They do have
a shall issue. They have a shall issue permit system. So possession, you need a permit, but it is issued on a shall issue basis. So if there is nothing stopping you, it would be pretty analogous to our next check. Okay? There's nothing that legally says that you can't. So here is your license.
They do have like a club membership requirement or something. Which is on par for Europe. European Union kind of says you got to meet these certain minimum standards, or there's no free travel.
Yeah. Let's see. What they consider to be valid reasons: sport shooting, hunting, collecting, training, and personal protection. That is fairly unique for all of Europe. Actually even mentioning self-defense in the context of firearms ownership.
And no mag capacity limits. They do allow semi-auto rifles, or pistols at least, and there's apparently not a magazine capacity limit. So
are their gun rights on par with the United States? No. They're incredibly, oh geez, I was going to say progressive, but that would kind of be, it's actually kind of the opposite of lining up with transnational progressivism. But they're for Europe, they're extraordinarily good, and they've been headed that direction for a while.
Good deal.
And I think they would probably go loosen them even more if they figured they could get away with it without the running into EU travel restrictions.
Well, they've got enough problems that they're fighting with the EU over already.
Yeah. That's the hill they're not ready to die on just yet, and I get it.
I mean, over border integrity with their border with Belarus, that is by far the bigger issue to be fighting with the EU Parliament over. That and they're fighting hard on their environmental stuff too.
Yeah.
Because they are refusing to neuter their economy in order to meet the Paris Treaty or any of the other EU's requirements to mitigate anthropogenic global warming. Excuse me, climate change.
Yeah.
It's no longer global warming.
Because it gets really confusing when it gets cold.
Well, yeah, and again, we're word salading here. Climate change. If it rains on Tuesday, and historically it's only done that, once in a while, that's climate change. If it's sunny and 75 in Sioux Falls in January, it's climate change. That's not an unusually warm front. That's
Yeah, we could spend an entire show or two on that whole theory of anthropogenesis of climate change. So let's not fall into that rabbit hole today. But those are the two things that I see Poland really fighting the EU about right now. Is no, we're not going to shoot ourselves in the foot economically in order to do this, especially when China and India in particular are not following any of this and are producing far more of these pollutants that you're regulating than we are, and to the integrity of their border, and that they are not going to allow just anybody into their country.
Especially that Knighton guy. I mean,
hey, there's a reason in Georgia, Florida wouldn't take him.
We're supposed to tell people that, Brian.
It's an open secret.
When you aspire to become Florida man, that's,
Actually, they don't want me down there because I raise the IQ, average IQ too much.
Could that potentially affect benefits eligibility?
Probably.
Okay. I gotta say though, the first time I met Tom in person, it was in Florida.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, they just won't let him move there. He can visit.
They'll let me visit. They'll take my money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Florida, and I'm not going to pop and do the math, and I don't know how many viewers we have. I don't know how, and I have no way of knowing how many are going to listen to this once it releases on audio. But if it is before the middle of February and you can get to Florida, I would probably think about getting to Florida. They have their, I don't even know what they're calling it these days, but I know it's happening again this year. It used to be their open carry event where they would It was a speakers event. They had Second Amendment speakers come in, and they all would open carry legally in Florida before it was legal in Florida to open carry, with a few very narrow exceptions. One of them was camping. So they would set up where everybody camps in the same area and have this big rally where everybody open carried. And they invited a bunch of speakers. I was one once. That's where I met Tom face to face for the first time. But that's coming up again this February. If you can get there, get there. It's a really fun event to attend.
It's 2A Freedom Fest. It's an event on Facebook. I'm actually going to be a speaker there this year. So I'll be there.
Oh, hey,
of course, it's also just a few hours from my house.
We have a comment on Facebook from our friend Tully saying that even Florida knows better than to admit Tom Knighton.
Well, Tully would know. They don't want. Yeah. They wouldn't want Tully either. Too much alcohol in our systems, or we drink their alcohol. Is what would really happen.
They'd all become. They would become a dry state by the time you were done with it. Is that what you're saying? Because there just wouldn't be any more for sale. You'd have it all.
Yeah.
Well, Tully would at least take care of their entire stock of Irish whiskey.
And I'd take the bourbon out.
Now, I got to ask, I haven't seen it recently. Are you still doing that occasional podcast where you rate bourbon?
Yeah, me and Mike Pewarski. We have not done it in a while. We keep talking about getting back to doing it because it was fun as hell. But we haven't yet. So we got to try to figure that out because I don't have enough going on in my life.
Well, I know the fourth rail is going because I see that pop from time to time.
Yeah, we've 2025. Saw some pretty decent growth. Got some good views for a small channel, and hoping 2026 will be more of the same.
Yeah, and I actually, speaking of, I'm probably going to be launching another show, a new podcast in a few weeks.
Okay,
tentatively titled the Unhinged Dad Podcast. Well, Unhinged Dads. I'm working on figuring things out with my potential co-hosts for that, because I like doing this live on YouTube, and yeah, sure. I'm not busy enough with 6 kids, 3 dogs, and a business to run, and already working on this show.
No. I was going to say, you're leaving something out there. Are you trying to in advance tell me something?
Oh no, not at all. I'm gonna keep doing this for as long as you'll keep me around.
So this is your last show?
I've said it before, Brian. I'll say it again. This is as much your show, it's as much Cat's show as it is my show. So you two could kick me.
Yeah, but why would we? You know how much more work that would involve for the two of us?
No, I think he means if we're all in the same area, you guys can literally kick him.
He has Susan for that, though. If he deserves it,
and she's quite effective, by the way.
Yeah, I don't need to discipline Paul at all.
That's true. That's true.
But okay, so circling back to our actual topic here, now that we've gone on 8 different branching tangents, the welfare fraud. Oh yeah, it's the joy of being us. But the welfare fraud, one of the points that I didn't get to is this is an inherent part of any welfare state. It's one of the stronger arguments for abolishing the entire concept of the welfare state is the fact that if the program exists, somebody's going to figure out how to abuse it, and it's going to happen. And apparently, it's happening to the tune of possibly up to $100 billion a year here in the United States. And the way the way that we're supposed to be countering that is there's supposed to be audits. There's supposed to be people watching that and catching the people who are abusing the system and putting a stop to it. And we now know, courtesy of independent reporting, that when Tim Walz was picked as Harris's running mate, he was fully aware of the scope of things going on in Minnesota. The DNC was aware, which means the entire team for the Harris campaign was aware that this was going on. And since nobody brought up anything about it, there was no big stories about how Governor Walz is cracking down on rampant fraud in Minnesota. They were 100% okay with it. They continued to hide it and even put the man on a presidential ticket knowing that skeleton was in the closet.
Yeah. Well, they were pretty confident that the media wasn't going to uncover it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and the media didn't. It was one guy with a YouTube channel.
Exactly. And
yeah.
But they were
20-year-old kid with an iPhone.
Yeah. But they're still in the idea that investigative journalism is only conducted by large media institutions. And in fairness, it's not easy to do investigative journalism without resources. But they weren't, they knew the mainstream media wasn't going to cover it. They didn't think an independent journalist would be able to. And so they weren't really worried about it. And then they put Walz on the ticket. They, went through this whole thing, and now it's out there. And who were these people going to vote for? Who were they going to donate some of that money to make sure their gravy train kept coming?
That's it right there.
It was
not only, not only are we looking at remittances from fraud exceeding the entire GDP of Somalia, but we're also looking at millions of dollars getting funneled back to the people who put these programs in place and set them up in such a way as to enable the fraud.
So this leads to my next question, which is, how big of a darn bullet did we dodge last November? Arguably, in reality, Trump won, and I may get us pulled from YouTube here by making this next statement. Trump won the election in 2020. I honestly believe that. And in 2024, it was, my opinion, the largest presidential landslide in history, including when Ronald Reagan won with 48 states. I think Trump's election this time was bigger than that. But still, we dodged a hell of a bullet, because right now we could be looking at the federal government being involved in what's going on in Minnesota.
Yeah, in enabling rather than investigating.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's part of why Trump was such a danger. They talk about existential threat to democracy, but the way a buddy of mine put it is that makes sense when you realize that democracy just means rules by Democrats.
Yeah.
And we've seen so much of the NGOs that were being funded by taxpayer dollars that were then taking a lot of that money and putting it into Democratic candidates. A lot of that taxpayer money ended up in Democratic coffers over and over. None of that money was going to groups that were giving money to Republicans.
Well, Republicans have their own sources of graft. Let's be honest here. Legislators are one of the biggest indictments of democratic systems is that it relies on people volunteering to run. We all know the old saying of power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. I think that actually the bigger issue is that power attracts the corruptible. Yeah. And probably the biggest indictment that says that somebody should not hold public office is the very fact that they volunteered for it, and that they intended to do this as a lifelong career. So Republicans, are getting kickbacks through through where defense contracts are sent and various other things. Let's let's be honest.
That's fair. That's fair.
Our Republicans are doing it too, but we're seeing some incredibly blatant violations of the public trust to refunnel tax funds primarily to progressive political leaders who then do what? But they push for further expansion and further funding of the same programs through which they're getting kickbacks.
And then anybody who opposes these programs gets branded as you hate poor people, you hate white people, you hate Hispanic people. When these people are not benefiting from 90% of these funds. Like, we sent spacecraft to the edge of the solar system for less money than was stolen in this whole fraud fiasco.
Just in Minnesota.
Yeah,
just in Minnesota.
And I think you could even, I'm fairly positive you could even adjust for inflation and take those 1970s dollars, inflate them to $2025, and I think you'd still spend less sending Voyager 1 and 2 out.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty confident in that.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely bonkers that so many people are not even paying lip service to, we should have investigations, we need to look into this. Not even like a cautious, well, let's not get carried away, but we definitely need to look in and make sure, these accusations are legitimate. No, it's immediately go to attacking people reporting on this, people finding these things, trying to cover it up, trying to just flat out ignore it. And, the sheer scale of this boggles the mind.
It's bigger than Watergate ever could have imagined being.
Yeah.
And that took down Nixon and practically defined an era in American politics and journalism. This is bigger.
And let's be clear about what Watergate was. Watergate was not that Nixon planned the break-in at the Watergate Plaza of the Democratic National Committee. They didn't say that. They didn't say that he covered it up. The only thing that brought down President Nixon was that he knew it. That was it. After the fact, he knew. That was it. That was what brought him down.
And Walz knew about this and said nothing. I mean, it's actually one of the biggest blunders of that camp. Well, I don't know about biggest blunders of that campaign because the entire thing was a mess.
That's a pretty high bar to clear.
But if they'd actually been trying to trying to help Walz appeal outside of their base, blowing the lid on all of this fraud that his office has found and starting to throw people in jail would have gained them tons of mileage.
Oh yeah.
I don't know that it would have changed the outcome, but it certainly would have changed the way it balanced. There would have been a lot more people who would have considered voting for Cackles and Timmy had they been able to show that at least Walz actually does believe in something resembling law and order and cares about eliminating waste and fraud out of government expense.
And
that
then
could have moved for them.
Harris is like, well, yeah, absolutely. That's why I chose him, because he's taking this approach. And it would have been a little harder for some of the people who were lukewarm on Trump to go that way.
It may have also alienated more of the defund the police crowd. I don't know. But the fact is,
but it's not like those guys were going to vote for anyone else anyways.
Well, yeah, but lots of politicians knew about this, and nobody said anything. They are guilty. They are guilty of everything that Richard Nixon was,
and then some.
And then some.
Oh yeah, just this time it was Nick Searcy instead of Bob Woodward.
Mm-hmm. And the thing that irks me is the very strong possibility that nobody will go to prison over this.
That's my biggest complaint with Doge, is we have yet to see people being perp walked. You know, I don't know how much of that goes back to Pam Bondi. I know she's taking a ton of flack. I've not been impressed with her, but I certainly hoped that by now, with all of the fraud that they were uncovering in that first 100 days, that we would have seen people getting charged by now.
Yeah, well, and it doesn't do any good unless people are being perp walked.
Yeah,
you can uncover everything. They'll just flip the switch and take it a slightly different direction for the next round.
Yeah, because let's be honest, with the way things sit right now, we could just as easily flip right back. They flip the switch. A lot of stuff has been exposed. We go right back to the way it was in 3 years. 3 years from this month, we lose Trump. And despite the hand wringing on the left, I do not believe Trump is going to run for another term. There would have to be some real gymnastics for that to happen. I don't think
they said the same thing. They said the same thing after Reagan. They said the same thing after second Bush. And in fairness, the right does the same thing. They said it after Obama in his second term that he wasn't going to give up power. They said the same thing about Clinton. Yeah, it's that's just the script that gets run. Is they're not gonna.
Yeah, the only difference.
Let's show me evidence.
Is that Trump hops on X and makes something that obliquely references to it and sends them off in a tailspin for a month.
Right. And they haven't figured out yet that Trump's a troll. They haven't figured out that he says stuff just to get him riled up.
I mean, it could even be misdirection. I don't. I'm not one of those guys saying, "Oh, he's playing 3D chess," while the rest of you are playing checkers. But I think he goes and says random stuff that he knows is gonna set people off and have the news anchors in a tizzy for a week, just so they don't notice what's actually going on. Although
that's what he did during his first term. They spent so much time screaming about this random post on X, then Twitter, and then he quietly signed some executive orders that repeal some BS regulation.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not making a thing about it because they're screaming that he said, he called somebody ugly.
Yeah, they could call it ugly.
What's that?
I said he could call us ugly. Well, I would say we've got faces made for radio, guys.
Yeah.
Well, Paul and I. Maybe Tom's looking more photogenic these days.
That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me, and now I'm afraid.
Don't worry, the other shoe will drop.
Now I'm really wishing
no doubt. That's why.
I'm really wishing I would have saved a screenshot from when we were getting ready to go live. Brian wasn't on yet, and Tom froze in a entertaining expression.
Something like that. It looked like I was really excited to be here.
Comment on Facebook. Our friend Tully says, "Yeah, Trump knows that smoke hides fire." I mean, I'm sorry, that's not high level politicking or anything. That's pretty basic. But
yeah,
he does it exceptionally well.
All right, guys. Well, we are just about at the hour mark, and I like to keep these things fairly short and sweet. So I think we're going to go ahead and set this one aside. For live viewer watchers, thank you for watching. We will be doing this again sometime. I'm guessing, if I were to have to guess right now, we'll be doing it a week from today, but we'll see. That's what my schedule allows. But we'll see what happens. Podcast listeners, thank you for listening. Everybody, please subscribe wherever you're at so you can continue to catch us when we're going live again or when we release a new episode. And thanks, and we'll see you next time.
Yep, all 6 viewers.
Yeah, and we're clear of recording. I'm going to go ahead and shut the streams down. Everybody, thanks again for the live viewers. I would guess a week from today, but we'll see what happens. We're going to go ahead and cut the streams down. See you next time.